The message in political circle has been like, good economics is bad politics. And we are stuck with that. No one wants to clear the mess. You remove Mumbai, you remove Pune, part of little bit of Nashik and Aurangabad. We are maybe not better than Orissa or Bihar.
Right. The short-term gains, keeping that in sight with purely politically driven is actually becoming dangerous for our economic sustenance. The budget session of Maharashtra begins today, and the budget will be presented on March 10th. After coming to power with a landslide victory, this is going to be the most crucial budget, which would be kind of most watched, especially because considering the factor that Maharashtra is financially stressed to a large extent. Given the poll promises that it made for Lok Sabha 2024 and Assembly elections 2024. In that background, how the state government manages its finances will be a kind of a tightrope walk for both the Chief Minister of Maharashtra as well as the Finance Minister Ajit Pawar. So in this episode of West Side Story, we reflect on how the money is going to come, what is the state government going to do about it, and at the same time, how is it going to keep its poll promises? Girish, are we going to see a tightrope walk for Ajit Pawar, Finance Minister?
Yeah, it's more than tightrope walk. I mean, for last few years, the state's policy has been robbing Paul to pay Peter kind of economics they are following. So there is a sharp cut on the planned expenditure, development related expenditure, whereas there are so many unplanned things being announced, money is being short. So biggest challenge as of now Maharashtra faces is financial profligacy. There is no way they want to control the extravagant expenditure being incurred on various things which are non-productive. And now with the onset of the GST will now be more than 7-8 years now. There are no ways state governments can recoup or replenish its coffers, except say property tax and small concessions here and there on excise. There is nothing that will help state mop up more revenue. So in this situation, it becomes all the more challenging for the Fadnavis government to manage its finances. And look at the numbers. There is 1 lakh crore deficit. So 1 lakh crore you are short in expenditure vis-a-vis the income. Over and above that, you have 46,000 crore outgo on so-called Ladki Bahena. So matching, tallying these numbers, it will be a huge challenge.
Yes, if you look at the finances, like the last 2 budgets, I was just comparing. So there's a clear mismatch between the revenue receipts and the revenue expenditure, and it's a huge, and the gap is widening over the years. Now the argument that they give from the state is that Maharashtra is a very large, huge state, and economically very prosperous. So when we can cope up with this kind of deficit with borrowings, and borrowings up to 80,000 crore, 85,000 crore. Now the point is, does it kind of help the state kind of,
See, on the borrowing limit, yes, state it's well within its limits, it's not reached the cap RBI had set. But having said that, the issue is the expenditure, non-planned, unproductive expenditure. Say for example, on salary and wages, if you have something like 50+ % going of the state GDP in just running the show, out of 45 rupees you have large sums to be doled out as largesse election promises. Then you offer free electricity. Someone has to compensate for that. For residents like you and me, the per unit charge of electricity has gone up to something like 14 rupees per unit. So we are paying for someone else's expenses, and unfortunately over the last few years, the message in political circle has been like, good economics is bad politics. And we are stuck with that. No one wants to clear the mess. And now it's not only Maharashtra. Looking at the financial situation of almost all states, big states, those states are going to pull India's economy down. And Maharashtra, again, unfortunately, may be the leader in that on that front also.
This capital expenditure, I mean, when
Yeah.
you're talking about progress of a state or you're talking about holistic development,
Yeah.
now that capital expenditure is very crucial basically.
Yeah.
And if we see the last two budgets, the capital expenditure has been stagnant
Yeah.
at somewhere around 85,000
Yeah.
crore. Now, with this kind of, I mean, that's hardly anything,
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
State
fast
level.
tracking the projects. And in the same way, like 55% of your expenditure is going for salaries is a huge,
That's a
huge
huge
component
one,
of
yeah.
32%
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Pensions is
Yeah.
16 and 11%, I think
Yeah.
the interest payments
Yeah.
basically. I mean, that was last budget. We'll have to see what
Yeah.
they place in this budget. Now, given this kind of a model, despite the concerns, despite the stress, the concept of populist schemes is
Yeah.
gaining momentum,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
going to stay. Now,
Yeah.
it's Lok Sabha, then
Yeah.
assembly elections, then local bodies elections. That's unending,
True.
basically. And in this budget also, they're not talking about rolling back any of the
Correct.
populist
Yeah.
schemes. So, I mean, how do they? From where does the money come?
Yeah, money is, so what they will do ideally, see, look at that, I mean, the actual, the picture is, it's raised to the bottom. We have to admit that. And no matter it's Maharashtra or Punjab or whichever state one can look at. And then secondly, what they will do now, they will cut on education. They will cut on health. See, it's such a weird situation Maharashtra is facing. The money, the outgo on Ladki Behna, it was like an election gimmick, is almost like double the size of state's health budget.
Budget, right.
So, size that of a Maharashtra. Maharashtra should be comparing itself with, not with any of the states,
Right.
like Germany. The geographical size vis-a-vis the population, So where are we now? And see, the problem, it should be put in proper perspective. Maharashtra, though, may be number one as far as the state, other states are concerned. Tamil Nadu, with half the population, is competing with Maharashtra.
Yeah.
So, per capita income of Tamil Nadu, it's almost like double that of Maharashtra. And with this kind of uneven development, in Maharashtra, say like for example Gadchiroli, the GDP, or the per capita difference between Gadchiroli and Mumbai, it's something like 400 plus.
Yes.
So Maharashtra, it's stuck. You remove Mumbai, you remove Pune, part of little bit of Nashik and Aurangabad. We are maybe not better than Orissa or Bihar.
Right.
That's the reality. And unless and until our rulers accept this reality and make some major changes to their policy making, things are not going to improve.
You just mentioned about the sectoral kind of thing. I think, I have the statistics. I think there are three important sector. One is education, health and agriculture. Even agriculture, I mean, though they give free electricity and all, but if you look at the last budget, and if you see the RE percent change 2023-24 and 24-25, agriculture and allied sectors took a beating. It was minus 15%. And health and family welfare minus 9%, welfare of SC, ST, OBCs, minorities minus 7%, rural development minus 6%, and of course urban development also minus 27%. Now, these are the key sectors which actually, even in for good politics, I think these are the key sectors which, constitute your, the vote bank. So instead of, I mean, don't you think there should be some kind of a rethink on this? Because just kind of a temporary populist schemes does not offset the losses you incur in kind of creating the assets and creating permanent kind of solutions to in social sectors.
See, this is the issue. Unless there is some the way things are happening, I feel there has to be, they will have to bring all political parties together to have some kind of a minimum consensus how populist one can go. Because as a nation, it's impossible to run this kind of economy. Everybody knows that. No one wants to bail the cat. No one wants to begin that, because this is like a TRP competition. If you do this, I'll do that. So it's competition. It's for not for betterment. It's all about worse. So this issue, Maharashtra till few years back, one of the largest states was negative in agriculture. It registered negative growth consistently in agriculture. And the funniest part, unfortunately, not many people look at these numbers. When you have unaccounted, what I'm saying, why I'm saying unaccounted, we'll explain. Expenditure on irrigation is growing. And agriculture is negative growth. So what does it suggest? So now last 3 years, I suppose, I think 3, they are not giving numbers about the irrigation also.
Irrigation, yes. So I think that famous Prithviraj Chauhan, when he was the chief minister, and I think he brought to the notice like 0.01% over the last 15 years. Despite that amount is, I think, kind of debated whether it's 70,000 crore or 46,000 crore.
And the paradox is that the person who was blamed for mismanaging irrigation financially, structurally, is the finance minister now. So it's all, actually it's not about Maharashtra, nothing is hunky-dory. It's a serious crisis. No one is saying that it's a serious crisis, but it's a serious crisis. We are stuck in a completely stagnant growth. There is no way they can add up to the revenue. There are no avenues to mop up more money, more tax collection, and add to it almost like something like 23 large municipal corporations, 200 municipal bodies, which are almost bankrupt. Except Mumbai, say Mumbai, which soon will move towards that, Nobody is having money to manage their show.
So are they going to increasingly depend on the devolution of funds from the center? Because if the figures show that last time the amount that went in the central taxes from Maharashtra, it was 77,054 crore, and the grants from the center was 52,715 crore. So again, the same thing, like, we give more to the center and we receive less. I mean, this has been a kind of a charge, not only by this government, but successive governments. I remember when Jayant Patil was finance minister for very long. And he used to make this kind of a complaint, we are like milking cow and, we don't get our share. So how do you look at...
So in this situation, it makes all the more sense for Maharashtra politicians to be sensitive and wise enough. So they are moving in a different direction, exactly opposite of that. Add to it one element that is adding to Maharashtra's concerns, though it's politically incorrect to talk about it. When it comes to attracting projects, it's perceived that Maharashtra has a disadvantage over Gujarat. For obvious reasons, And when you have states like Tamil Nadu and other, which are extremely competitive in attracting investment, look at AI now. Southern states it's moving ahead, It makes sense for investors also to go to South, because in Maharashtra, except Mumbai and its golden triangle, Mumbai, Pune, Nashik, it's difficult for them, So now there has to be some kind of a consensus on putting money at the right places where it is needed, and to cut short on unwanted heads. Look at now the health, look at education, everywhere it's
social sectors.
Social sector, we are not able to spend on that, So it's a to say that it's a huge crisis, it's an understatement, It's a mega crisis Maharashtra is staring at.
It's also something very kind of contradictory, because when you look at the elections, they make all out efforts to reach out the smallest of the smallest segments, the pichhde se pichhda worg, that kind of thing, and the statements, recurring statements, last man, last mile connectivity, distant villages and all that. But when it comes to budget, they have to the purses are the purse strings are getting tighter and tighter when it comes to allocation in these sectors. Now, recently, even Ajit Pawar had said that, I will have to focus on financial discipline, and guidelines of the center has to be adhered. But how? How will he do it?
So everyone knows what exactly is wrong. Where are we bad in that? No one is going to say what are they going to do, because what it means that cutting on populist schemes, they can't afford to do that politically, because upcoming municipal elections, because that will be a huge issue if they cut any of the scheme. So what remains on that? Actually there are only two fronts Maharashtra can improve upon: get investment, get the development engine growing, and moving. That is not happening still, number one. And number two is cut on unproductive expenditures. That's also easier said than considering the political atmosphere we are having. And the problem is that if they do that, and that ministry or that department happens to be not belonging to BJP, then again it's an issue. So you're not cutting on your own ministries, you are cutting expenditure or the revenue or the expenditure on our side, so NCP, Congress. So unless there is some kind of a minimum common program of development, Maharashtra, I find very, very situation is really grim, and there has to be serious reform. Industry. I mean, industry started moving out of Maharashtra because of everyone knows the reason, now. But now, the Chief Minister states he has taken care of that, and there is a fast approval and all that. But things are not getting converted or seen on the ground, So unless that machine that wheel starts rotating, Maharashtra will have to have this competition and basically the financial challenge. It's a big thing now, and center is not going to help unless you have your own kitty growing,
So what we learn from Tamil Nadu right now, as you mentioned, which means it's also very paradox, because Tamil Nadu is smaller state, number one. Number two, also they have regional parties there.
Yeah.
I mean, the dominance of the regional parties, and yet if they are managing their finances better than Maharashtra, then something is terribly wrong with our political leaders, I think, and the governance also.
Yeah.
Because you have coalition, which means the coalition is detrimental for economic.
Not really. If you look at the national history, India has always performed great when it was ruled by coalitions. That's the theory. I mean, right from first election 1951 till we entered 1991 when the financial crisis and all those things happened, The best of economic development has always happened under coalition government, provided you have that kind of an understanding, So coalition without having no agenda, no economic thought, it's just managing the show, and that's what Maharashtra is witnessing. So best of things, it may be telecom reform, it may be opening of economy, financial reforms, everything happened under coalition governments at national level. So there is no reason why it shouldn't happen in Maharashtra. Even in Maharashtra from 2004 to say 2014, it was run by coalition government. Yes. It recorded remarkable growth. In fact, before that, 1995 onwards till 2004, Maharashtra witnessed major financial crisis. So though it was not a coalition, but the same Saffron Alliance, So the biggest crisis Maharashtra witnessed was 1999 when IDBI had to seize Chief Secretary's office. They put up a notice. That kind of a situation Maharashtra witnessed. So alliance is not a problem. Immature political leadership, and this is not even alliance. This is just power management. And this is taking Maharashtra nowhere.
I think the short-term gains, keeping that in sight with purely politically driven, is actually becoming dangerous for our economic sustenance.
That's true.
And surprisingly, it's coming when Fadnavis is the chief minister and whose favorite subject is finances. And one can see his he's striving to fix things, but I think the challenges are plenty, looks like.
Challenges are plenty, and too big a challenge to handle and to face it in this kind of situation, unless there is some kind of an understanding amongst all political parties. You have to, there is no reason for Maharashtra's agriculture to go down. Maharashtra's now situation is that villagers are, what is an indication? The biggest thing is expenditure going on a rural job employment scheme, Manrega. So it means there is job losses, job lostness, And forget what we can talk about underemployment and kind of that situation. But it's not growing anywhere. So they will have to have some kind of a minimum understanding to have minimum progress to take it forward. Otherwise, it's a really
and also, I think in the last 10 years, what we are increasingly seeing is like everybody seems to be in a hurry to kind of, showcase
Yeah.
their projects, their achievements. And the concept which is somehow striking, I don't know with the voters or not, but thing is, if you do, one big infrastructure projects, worth 50,000 crore or 86,000 crore, then that's my kind of, passport to success. But where I think completely we are losing it is the rural economy, because
Yeah.
there it's like that's a sector where you have huge potential.
Yeah.
And with a very little efforts, because instead of allowing the urbanization to kind
True.
of grow, I mean, for various reasons it's happening. If you focus that much initiative or
Yeah.
to take
Yeah.
up some hard policy decisions in concentrating in the rural economy, I think that works better. But it has to be long term.
Yeah, long
You have
term.
to have
And
patience and
you
persistence.
spoke about infra. It's a very interesting thing for every political party and political leader to showcase at road building and bridges. And to put it bluntly, it may sound a little harsh. This infra development is not for the people. Whatever is happening, this is all contractor-driven economy. Contractors help certain political parties and certain political leaders. So in lieu of that, they get projects. So it is not. See. Look at the recent infra project. The actual usage and the return is much lower than what it was projected, including that of metros.
Yes, metro. Yeah.
Or the Atal Setu,
Yes.
So, what are we looking at? Is it contractor-driven economy, or you are going to do actual, real development? To do that, it's not fashionable. It doesn't get you TRP, but it's fundamental. Now, what is happening in Maharashtra? Villages are getting completely full of. There are no works there. There is no jobs there in villages. So you have those jobless youth wandering around. And now they migrating to cities, and unplanned urbanization giving another headache to cities. There is no. See, look at the city like Pune. 27 villages were added to Pune. And Pune Corporation, they don't have any mechanism to address the last part of this this last mile connectivity you referred to. Pune may be soon expanding to Satara or Solapur.
I think even already done. It's close to Bombay. It's become an extended part
and
of
they don't
Mumbai.
have revenue, they don't have money, they don't have machinery to service those areas. Why it is happening? Because it's completely unplanned. You promise them something and you fail to do that, so you do something else, to pamper your
I think
voters.
that's where I think they are missing out completely. One is this agriculture sector, and as you mentioned, irrigation also. I mean, though in the first tenure of his government, Fadnavis had focused very strongly on these 2 points. Where he first time talked about negative growth in agriculture. He highlighted the kind of the potential in irrigation sector. Of course, rain shadow and all that is a factor, but we still have a potential to grow up to 40%. Maharashtra can go up to 40% in irrigation. True. And we are still stuck at, I think, 28%. I mean, that
there
would be
are
very
two
conservative.
things. Maharashtra has always had advantage over others. First it was agriculture, obviously, and that's also horticulture.
Horticulture.
That's one. And secondly, Maharashtra always has been a hub of manufacturing. Large companies, auto and like JCBs and LGs and you name them, all the brands were here. So that kind of, which has a large potential, in offering jobs, that somehow we will have to get going, which is now we see shifting towards south, So we have to halt that and look more competitive to attract that, and it's a vicious circle, unless you do that, economy will not grow unless you start doing that. So let's see how this government copes with
this
that.
is the first budget of this Mahayuti government, and they have a very stable 5 years, we presume. No reasons why that anybody should threaten their government in that sense with the numbers they have. Now, do you think, can we expect a very kind of a bold budget this time, some harsh decisions, specifically addressing the revenue generation? Because still the question that is lurking in their mind, and I hope so, and also which we want to watch is like where are they going to mobilize the funds?
Yes.
It's easier said than done. Then but are they going to impose harsh taxes, or are they going to tap some new sectors?
See, looking at Ajit Dada's history, I mean, we may have criticism for his politics, but he's been an extremely able administrator.
Yes.
When he was handling power sector, that was the only time Maharashtra state power generation was making money. He didn't allow all those freebies, free electricity, free power, and all that. Now he also is stuck in his own web of problems, the kind of promises these people make. And now, over and above that, I've been talking about this, is the issue where they can generate revenue. This is like saving water or saving electricity and understanding it, accepting it as generating electricity. It's not one and the same, You have to save, but as well as there has to be something to generate also. In the GST regime, there is hardly any scope for levying new taxes, and even property taxes also with elections coming, they can't raise that.
That's been stagnant for quite some
they
time.
haven't
Even
raised.
BMC,
BMC is now looking at breaking their FDs to run the show.
Right.
So, I mean, I wish Ajit Dada bails or takes really unpopular decision, but which are good for the state's economy. That's the only hope.
Because as far as the flagship project of Ladki Bahin Yojana, that is 100% going to stay with some downsizing, by kind of weeding out the ineligible. But that I think is hardly going to make any difference to the overall allocations. Then freebies of 3 gas cylinders, I think that they cannot touch, looks like. Free electricity to farmers up to 7.5 horsepower. I think that's again a very sensitive issue. They cannot. To the contrary, the demands are rising that there should be a complete crop loan waiver. So, I mean, what's your thought on that?
Earlier, the better for the state government to understand that there is nothing like free thing, free lunch. It's not. When you say 7.5 crore, there is already a big scam which is running. They have 10 HP power labeled as 7.5 HP. So, best thing is to not to have such kind of a thing, but in the current atmosphere it may sound like an utopian concept, but we are nowhere near the reality,
Because they've also compounded the crisis by giving this free food subsidies. Because when we traveled in the rural areas, this is a grievance from the farmers' side. We are not getting labourers with massive unemployment across the rural belt, and they're not getting labourers. The farm labourers are shrinking. The second thing is the cost is going up. So this populist kind of schemes has not only kind of impacted the state finances, but also individuals in the rural belt. So this is what, I mean, we have been saying the same thing. This is the way, only way forward is they will have to cut on, as of now, the immediate measure is to cut on development plans and start making money whichever sector they can do. But I don't see it's happening looking at the election season ahead, So for a while at least, we will continue to be there in the slowest lane of development for a while at least. Yeah, but my concern is if not this year and next year, then when? Because whenever the bold decisions have to be taken, it has to be taken. Generally, the perception is you take it in the first 3 years, because again the 4th, 5th year is election year, basically.
So, but the deadline was yesterday. It's not today or tomorrow. It was yesterday, and this is now like bolting the thing. When the horse is already out. We are onto downward trend. To arrest that trend, that has to be thought first. Going upward on the revenue side, that will come later. Current issue is to stop the slide, and I don't see any resolve in that, because there are lots of pulls and pressures from all directions, and no one wants to say anything bad to anyone else. Everybody wants to be a good boy, and good boys don't make good economics. Unfortunately.
True, Girish. Good governance need not be good economics also, and bad economics does not mean good politics. So I think let's see what the budget brings. It's on March 10th, and then we can further kind of analyze it in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.